The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody. Good crack-a-noon to our friends on the East Coast. I am Todd Obert, President and CEO of Productive, joined here virtually alongside, speaking from Patch headquarters in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, is Pete Greco, our VP of Sales and Technology. He's wearing a pants with patch. He is watching Patch Adams and eating Sour Patch Kids. So
I got the blazer with the patch on the elbows too.
And he has the professor of patch blazer. So there you go. He is going to talk patching. And before we do that, we're going to meet Productive in 1 minute. Pete will discuss the need for patches, compliance requirements, how you find out what you do not have patched, and learn about the CVE fixes, as well as the very important part of patching is remediating. So not knowing what is out there, but yeah, I have the attack dog coming. I'm going to turn it over to Pete. So Pete, just keep talking.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks a lot for hopping on, everybody. We're going to do Meet Productive in 1 minute. Let me just get control of that screen. Give me one. There we go. And let me just make sure I'm showing the right screen. Okay, we're doing that. There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. I've got some new monitors. We got everything mixed around. So let's meet Productive in 1 minute. Who are these guys? We are in the security business for mid-sized organizations. If you have anywhere between 100 to 1,000 employees, we can help you out for sure. We implement, test, and optimize the products that you buy from us. We also do a lot of vulnerability assessments, security assessments, pen tests, this kind of stuff to help you figure out where you have gaps, misconfigs, and any other potentially hazardous situations. We also offer a lot of educational content. You should check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com, Productive Content, and also check out our website at productivecorp.com. And if you ever need to get a hold of us, please call your dedicated account executive or email us help@productivecorp.com. Everybody in the email in the organization, including myself, gets those emails, and we get on top of them if you need help. So without further ado, let's keep this party rolling.
I'm back. I've apprehended the burglar, and so we're good. My golden doodle has made it. So yeah, you can
nice.
You can roll on, ladies and gentlemen. You've met him. He introduced Productive. Here he is, Pete Greco.
All right, thanks so much. So, what are we talking about today? Plugging holes in the applications and operating systems that you're using, how to get it done at all, how to get it done in a more effective way, right? And what's the big risk? We talk to a lot of folks that have good patch policy or really on top of it. We talk to a lot of folks that are somewhere in between, and we talk to a lot of folks, and we see a lot of stories about folks who really are not on top of the patch game. And it has gotten easier and easier to do. And part of the big issue here, right? Well, as you can see on the slide, 111 billion new lines of code written per year, and that's creating additional vulnerabilities. Every time you get a new big release, a new operating system, sometimes even new service packs or patches come out with openings or exposures right? And hackers are taking advantage of those. And part of the challenge in this game is that when they identify a CVE, the big issue is they're telling you information on how to protect yourself, but it's also giving the hacker a guidebook of where to start looking. It's not necessarily, and if you look at these CVEs on like MITRE.org, or go to Microsoft.com and check out their blog, or Adobe, or any of these guys. Typically, when they're saying, hey, we've got an issue, here's the patch to fix it, they want to give you some additional information. And that could be this application is vulnerable if someone comes in with this kind of access on port 443. That's an instruction for the hacker to know where to look, but it's also going to give you a clue. Okay, if I'm doing this, maybe I need to block that port at my firewall, or I want to create a Windows firewall rule to create additional protection for this, or whatever, while I'm waiting to test out the patch, or while I'm getting the patch out, or just as an additional backup on this, right? So it's pretty challenging to be in the know, make sure that if you're a patch or an application developer pushing out a patch, to make sure that your customers know exactly what's going on, and there's no way to push out that information that keeps it a secret from the bad guys. But you are giving them an indicator of where to get started. Now, sometimes these vulnerabilities are found by the bad guys, and patch developers playing catch up. That's what's known as a 0-day. The hacker has figured this out. They've been exploiting it, and through the use of our other security tools, we're identifying this is how they've come in, and this is something that we would use, maybe an endpoint detection and response tool, to go and figure out, okay, we got this far. Maybe it wasn't even a completely successful attack, thanks to our strong endpoint security solution, but we're able to backtrace and figure out, oh, they actually came in through Microsoft Word or Adobe Reader or one of these other things, and that gets reported. There's also white hat hackers out there that are doing their best to figure out when things don't look right, figure out how would you be able to exploit this, notify the publisher. There's also bug bounty hunters out there who are finding these bugs, reporting them to Microsoft and Apple and everybody else, and able to actually get paid, and in some cases, a pretty handsome sum for identifying that and notifying the publisher. So how do we address these issues, right? Lots of different ways. Automated patch management, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And a lot of these solutions support both Microsoft, which is a big one. And when I say Microsoft, I'm not just talking about Windows and Windows Server, but all the applications, of which there's a lot for Microsoft, as well as third-party solutions. And one of the big ones there, Adobe. Another big one there, Apple, Google, right? Tons and all the browsers that are out there. So tons of support for those things that everybody's using. Live Update is built into Windows. Mac has their own solution, and the problem with Live Update is it doesn't address third-party patches, but really you don't know when it's not working. So an update continues to re-download, but it can't complete an install. You never find that out, right? A lot of folks trying to take advantage of SCCM, WSUS, or Intune. Those solutions can be challenging and difficult to learn how to use, and add some additional hurdles for third-party solutions, but it's definitely better than not doing anything at all. But only patching your Microsoft really leaves still a lot of gaps in the vulnerability of the network, right? And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, we unfortunately talk to a lot of folks that are really not doing anything. Sometimes they just don't understand what's going on. Sometimes they feel like, well, I've got a pretty strong endpoint solution, so that covers us, and that does go a long way. But the challenge that you're creating for yourselves there is when that foothold gets established and the next step happens, your endpoint product detects what's going on, that foothold may still exist. And now it's an opportunity for the hacker to understand, okay, the first attack didn't work because they're using whatever they're using. What have I got that can go around that, or what's going to be my next step? And that's where you're starting to see kind of hands-on keyboard type attacks, where once that foothold happens or the automated part of the attack is not successful, the hacker will come in and actually try and figure out what to do next to compromise the organization. And even if you're sitting there feeling like, well, you know, we don't really have any data, we're not a good target, everybody's a target, because at the very least, you need your machines running. So getting those ransomed, right, is going to help get a payday. Or you might be a part of a supply chain, and one of your customers or one of your partners has valuable information, so they can springboard off of you. Or you can become a part of the botnet and be an attack army against another group. They can use your services for crypto mining. Tons of ways that folks can make money off of your organization, even if you truly don't have any data that's worth anything. But my experience has been is even if it's not valuable on the dark net, everybody's network is valuable to them and is needed to run their business, or they wouldn't have it at all. Right? So we're talking about cloud managed solutions. Right? So what's the benefit of moving Patch to the cloud? If you're not doing anything, super easy to get started with the cloud managed solution, because there's no server to build. It's really quite easy to get the agents pushed out and start creating policies. You can really make it fully automated so that it's really pretty hands-off for remote users or for workstations. A lot of folks want to have a little more control over the servers, but you could make that fully automated or somewhere in between manual and full automation. You're going to get a complete patch inventory, so you don't go out and find out what are all the patches. You're just going to get a list of the patches that you need based on the software that's installed in your network, right? So you're getting the right information that's right for you, and then no need to go and download those patches or maintain them or maintain repositories that later you want to blow away. You're going to download them directly from the publisher, so you know they're coming from the right place. Right, and then those are going to dissipate when they're no longer needed. So no real overhead management as far as additional servers to manage or additional database overhead or anything like that. That's one of the things that I really dig about it. Now, some folks are already using an on-prem solution, or maybe are not adopting the cloud yet, or don't have any remote users. On-prem still gets the job done. But the big challenge there is you're only going to be able to patch devices that are on the network. So if you do have folks that are taking their laptops home or working remotely, patching over VPN is, I've talked to a lot of folks that do it, but it's ultimately crushing bandwidth and creating a headache for everybody. When it's trying to happen, they have a hard time catching those machines, and it leaves gaps in the security environment. Some of the benefits, though, is you are maintaining a patch repository, so you download that patch once and you're distributing it to all. It does create some additional management overhead for you, and for a lot of organizations, that saved bandwidth isn't as important as it used to be, even 5 years ago, certainly 10 years ago. Right, so can be a great benefit, and we do have some solutions that meet those needs. Right, and then the other solution that on-prem really solves is you can set it up so that only the management console has access to the internet, right, and you're feeding servers that are maybe internally firewalled. So there's some other workarounds for that, but it's definitely one of the things that some folks like or require. So what are some of the benefits of a centralized patch solution? And I've got a couple of different consoles here, so you're going to see some different looking screens. But you know, one of the biggest ones is quick visibility. You know, at a glance here, and I just have a few machines, 6 devices in this console here, right? So I'm getting a quick visibility. I got 3 machines that needs attention. I've got 4 that are scheduled for updates. I've got some devices that I've set up for manual approval. So it's going to tell me, here's the patches that are available. Do you want to go ahead and deploy them? It's not going to deploy them automatically. for my workstation and the other laptops. I just want that to be automated, but I can real quick find out what's going on and I can take action here. Here's another console, right, that gives you a little bit of a different view. Now I only have one device in here, so it's not quite as colorful as my other, but you get the idea. I've got a bunch of clickable things here where I can really drill in and figure out what devices are protected, what am I missing, how long have these patches been available, when did I apply them. And that's another great thing if you have compliance, right? What they want to know is not just that you got fully patched when they walked in the door, but did you patch in a timely way? So this patch has been out for a year. Did you apply it just now, or did you apply it 9 months, 10 months, 11 months ago? What's your patch strategy, and are you living within that? Everybody, I think, recognizes, or auditors recognize, you can't necessarily deploy every patch the day that it comes out. This would give you the capability to do that, but you might need to do some testing to make sure that it's not going to hamper your business operations before you deploy it. It's not going to cripple an app, whatever. So it is fair to say, hey, we need 2 weeks or 30 days to test this and get a change report going and get approval, and then we'll push it out. But if you've got that policy, that you're going to pass your audit, and you're going to have proof that you did it within the parameters that you set, which a lot of folks like. Lots of reports. I'm not a huge reports guy. I really just want to know when things didn't work. But a lot of our customers, you know, they have big organizations and they've got to roll up proof that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, proof that the environment is looking the way that it's supposed to be looking, ideas on critical vulnerabilities and what else they need to do to solve those, all kinds of good stuff. And so there's lots of reports that you can take advantage of. And I mentioned this earlier, but really one of the big benefits here is handling both Microsoft and third-party patches. And I've got just kind of had actually forgot that I had this on my box, to be honest with you. This is my personal home machine that I ran this on, but Qt PDF Writer, right? It's just an open source PDF tool. I think there's a paid version maybe that removes an ad or whatever. But this is the kind of thing, you get it installed for whatever reason, you kind of forget it exists. Well, as it gets older and older, right? More and more vulnerabilities get exposed, and now you're running into a situation where you've got an application, you forgot that it existed on your network. There's patches available. How do we know about it? Patch management is going to help you get those out there. Now, this one says non-security here, so that's a feature update. You can also do a lot of filtering to say, I only want to find out about security related stuff. I don't care about new features and new skins and this kind of stuff when it comes out. A lot of flexibility there. You can also ignore patches. So maybe we figured out, hey, this new version of, not to pick on Google, but Google Talk here creates a problem. We want to make sure that doesn't go out until we're 2 releases down the road. We can set up an ignore policy so that no matter what happens or no matter how automated I am, that patch is not going to go, or this list of patches are not going to go. So a lot of controls there on how I handle that. And then one of the biggest questions that we get when we're talking to folks about patch management solutions and patch strategy and this kind of stuff is rebooting. Being able to control reboot. And they kind of come at it from 2 different angles. I really want to be on top of my servers. I can only reboot those things on, you know, Friday or Saturday night or overnight or on Tuesdays or whatever the rule is. Or I never want them to automatically reboot. I want to do it myself, but I still want to make sure that I'm identifying the patches and getting those out. You can really control that the way that you want. And then a different take from the end users is those guys refuse to reboot. They should be rebooting every night or you know, once a day, or shutting their machines off at night or whatever. How can I make sure that a reboot occurs so that that patch gets fully implemented, right? And so there you can definitely do some reboot forcing so that maybe it's not happening, you know, the second the patch is done. You can set it that way if you want, but maybe you're going to make sure that it happens within 4 hours. And you can allow snoozes on reboot. So if somebody's in the middle of a webinar like I am right now, rebooting right now might not be super convenient for me. So I could snooze that 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, a max of 3 times, a max of 5 times, however you want it to be. You don't have to enforce reboot at all, right? You can be very stringent with it. A lot of control over there, and really the ability to do it differently for different types of machines and different types of users, to really meet your need. And that's where you can group these devices into different groups, have different kinds of patching policies, so you can really handle the whole environment the exact way that you want, right? And so the main thing that we want to see folks getting away from, especially with the remote users, is live update. Because again, as I mentioned at the top of this, the big problem here is, when it works, that's awesome, but we're not touching our non-Microsoft stuff. And when it doesn't work, we don't know that something happened. And now you've got a situation potentially where you've got a remote user who's logging on via the VPN. They've got an exploit, and now we can create lateral movement over the VPN, access that data through compromise, right? And a lot of folks look at it like, well, if I'm mostly patched, right, that's going to help me out. But the challenge that you run into there is if you've been targeted, or something's got a foothold and they're doing some scans, they're going to find the machine that's exploitable, and that's where they're going to start. And we've seen and these stories are not hard to research on your own, tons and tons of stories of where we got everything patched except for one server. That was the launching point for the attack, right? And so that's what we want to get away from, and keep you up and running and keep you as safe as possible. Whew, Todd, I don't even know if I took a breath there.
Yeah, that was good. That you don't like to have a gap, just like people shouldn't have a security gap, and the way to close that is by patching. So,
well, these folks are busy. I got to let them get back to work.
Yes, totally. So that is fantastic. Yeah. And as one of our attendees said, nothing like drinking from a fire hydrant. And that's how you get it. Pete Greco adds value. He gives you the information quickly, fast, and furious. So I say thank you, everybody, for taking the time to attend today. This is great. This is great stuff. If you need to get more information, let us know. We can help you.